Hello and welcome to the 6th video of making a WordPress Valentine's Day plugin. Today we're going to be looking at validating the data that we pass through our settings fields. So before we start, let's have a quick look at what we're going to be making. Okay, so this is what we're going to be making. We're going to be making a little title that's changeable. We're going to be making a little animation that we can change, and these are just different types of heart animation that we will have. If we go to the back end, you will be able to change our information in the settings page. So we'll be able to change the title. We'll be able to change the animational style of the hearts, and we'll be able to change the amount of it. So if we say that, that should all change. This main setting is different usually from normal widget. So usually the widget settings are in here, but in this project I'm showing you how to put that information in the settings page. So again, if we go back, we can see that the animation has been changed. So this is what we're going to be making in this video or in this project. So like always, I try and do 5 tasks a video. So the main aim is to create a method that validates our setting data, but we still have to do a number of things. So for example, we still need to create that field for our animational style, and that field for the number of hearts that you saw. So in the last video, we only created the field for the title. Once that's done, then we can start creating the method for our setting data, and then we need to, because we have multiple fields, not just one field, we have multiple fields, we have to make an array for our setting data, and then use our array to validate that data. So you'll see what I mean as we go through. I just want to do a quick breakdown on the structure of our setting page. So within our plugin object, so we're putting the information to create our setting page within our plugin object, not our widget object. We've got a constructor, and this constructor has 2 hooks that we're using. And then the first hook, we're adding our setting page using the add option page WordPress function. And then we are creating a template. We made another method to create a template, and that template had a form, and then we had 2 WordPress functions, setting fields and do setting sections. Setting fields, remember, selects the setting data that we want to use, and the do setting sections prints that out onto our setting page. We then, in the last video, created another method that allowed us to register our setting data. So that should be register, not do setting sections. We registered our section. We then added our setting section. We created one called main, and then we added 3 fields. That title field, then we will be adding the animation style field, and then the number of hearts field. So today we have to just make sure that we create the other HTML templates for each of those fields. And then the last thing we're going to be doing is creating another method that is linked from our setting data method. So what will happen is it will automatically, when you save the changes, go through the validating our field data go through our validating our field data method, and then it will return that to the setting data method. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you would like to program along, the code as always is below, so you can download the code that we've created so far, and then program with us. Okay, so if we start, so remember, because this is we're going to be doing the setting page in the plugin the plugin object, and not the widget object, we're going to be opening the hearts PHP. So this is our plugin. So what we need to do first is complete the animational style. So if let's go to the top and find out where we need to go. So if we look at the actions first, so remember this action adds the setting fields. So we look at this here, and this has registered our settings. So it's not the other one, it's the register settings. And then we've added our section, and then we need to add our setting fields. If we look at the plugin animational one, we need to create a function or a method called select animation. So at the moment, I'm just going to put them in, and at the end, I'm going to tidy it up. So we're going to put the function, and then it's going to called select animation. Okay, so we just need to make sure that that matches up. Perfect. So then what we need to do is we need to add in the HTML for this field. So if we go into the method and we add in first the value to try and get the objects array. So remember, we're using this get option to try and get the options or the data that's already saved in the WordPress. So remember, this has to match up with that register settings. So this is where all the data is going to be saved when within your fields. So we get that and we put it in this object or this option. So we've set that access modifier to private just to make sure it's a little bit more secure and you can't access the data from outside. And then all we've done is we've echoed a HTML drop down box. And remember, this has to match up, the ID has to match up with the setting fields. And again, the option name is going to be the value here, and then we're saying we're going to put the value in that array in the position animational string. So for example here, if we say that any value that's in this this option animational string will be printed here. Yeah. Now the reason why I've got this name is because what I thought I would do is the first time we run it, there won't be any data in that field. There will be no data in this. So what I need to do now is create an if statement that that checks whether the value, if there's anything contained in the value. So what I've done here is I've just said if this value, this animational string value, the one that we're inputting the data to from our form, if this value is empty, what I want you to do is I want you to insert as default fading value, and then the name fading hearts, because in our drop down menu we need to add the value and the name. And then else I've used a switch statement here, which is basically saying that if this value is fading, then I'm going to put the name as fading hearts. If the value of this is rain, I'm put it flying hearts. If it's the value is rotate, I'm going to put rotating hearts. So what this means is that this here, whatever is in the this box here, whether it's fading, rain, or rotate, this will be the value, and whatever the name is here, it will put the name down there. And what I've done, I mean, you can change this, but you have to bear in mind that we're going to be using these values to change things in our jQuery and CSS. So you are welcome to change the names, but if you do, you have to remember that you've changed the names, because we're going to be using those values to match up the code in our CSS. So what we've done is we've now completed the first task, and now we need to get on to the second. Okay, so now we can go to the second task. The second task is almost identical to the first task, so we just need to make sure that the method names match up. So I'm just going to put it under the select animation one. So if we have a look here, it matches up, and what I've done is the same thing, because we're using the same drop down menu. I've gotten the option values from our setting register. I've put it in this attribute, and then this will be put as an array. I'm saying that the heartstring, so remember I'm matching the heartstring up. I'm saying this heartstring array position. If this is empty, then just put this as normal, and then I've just added a drop down box. Again, make sure that this matches up with this, and that is everything that we need to do. So we can now tick off the second task. So let me tick it off. Okay, so we need to go back up to the register setting. So remember, this sets a number of things. So this sets the section group, the setting group. This sets the name of all the data that's going to be stored. And this is the method that we use to validate the data. So we need to make sure that that name is the same. So if we, again, I'm just going to put it under it for now, and then tidy it up once all our code is done. We need to first get the input, because remember we're passing this option name array into the method, and then because we have multiple fields, it's an array, and it's not just a single value. So we need to create a new array, and all we need to do is put the values of the old array into the new array and then return it. Now you can put all sorts of code in here, so we can say, like, before we insert this value from the old array into the new array, we could say, well, check to see if this value here is more than 10 characters. We could say check to see that this value is only fading rain or rotating hearts, for example. Or we could say this value has to be all in capitals, for example. So we could do all sorts of if statements or logic here if you want, but the basic idea is to make sure that you have your inputted data, then you insert your inputted data into the same position and the same title within the new input array, and then you return that value back, and then you have validated it. So again, what we've done here is we've created the method for the validating it. So again, we've matched that up here. We've created a new array for our setting data, which is here. Created a new array, and then what we've done is we've put our setting data into the new array. So we've used this WordPress function here just to make sure that this, whatever's in here, is cleaned up from errors. So it just kind of means that we clean the data, so before putting it in, and then we return it using this return keyword. Okay, so that's all the tasks that we've done, and that's our plugin. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tidying up all the methods in our class for the next video, so the code will look slightly different, but nothing will have changed. You are welcome to organize it in any way you want, but we have now finished our plugin object, and now we must need to go onto our widget object to add the CSS and the jQuery JavaScript. Okay, so now that we've finished off all the tasks, I think I have 4 concept checking questions to make sure you really understand all the information in this video. Pause the video now and see if you can get all the answers. So hopefully you've paused the video and you've answered the questions. Let's go through. So how can you get the data that you've saved in the setting fields? You need to use this get option WordPress function, and remember this option name, this has to match up with that register settings WordPress function value. Okay, and that's how you can get it. Why did we have to create an array in our validating method? Well, we have 3 fields, so that's 3 values, and because we only are able to insert 1 value into the WordPress backend, we put it into the array and then insert the array in. So we need to make sure that we create an array in our validating method if we have multiple fields. If we have 1 field, you don't need to. What argument did we have to pass into our validating method and why? Well, we had to put in that input value. Now it doesn't have to be input, it can be any named I guess array. It will be an array, any named value, any name you want, but this is all the data from that setting fields. So what will happen, all the data goes in and then we can work with it. What keyword do we need to use at the end of our validating method and why? Well, we used return, and we had to return the new array. So we're saying give me the old array, let me check the data, and then if it's right, insert it into our new array and then return the new array. And you can do loads with this if you wanted. So thank you very much. Hopefully we are now able to validate our setting data. Again, if you have any feedback, if you think that we didn't accomplish our tasks in the video, or you didn't understand how we did it, or if you have any ways I can improve these videos, let me know. If you are interested in learning how I use jQuery and CSS to do the animation side now, this is what we're going to be moving on to. So if you want to keep updated, I would suggest you subscribe, and I will let you know when the next video comes. Thank you very much and goodbye.